तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are in chapter 31 called Advice to Ishan, 11th October 1884, and Master is talking to a Pandit. So we shall go back a little and pick up from there. The Pandit is asking Master, well sir, what do you think of theosophy? Up to this point we are going back. What do you think of theosophy? Master, the one essential thing is bhakti, loving devotion to God. Do the theosophists seek bhakti? They are good if they do. If theosophy makes the realization of God the goal of life, then it is good. So, two things. And we have seen that throughout the Gospel. And that is now being applied as a test or criteria also. Well, if the theosophists accept God realization of the goal, if the theosophists accept bhakti, then they are good. So these two things determine anything good or bad in spiritual life. One cannot seek God if one constantly busies oneself with Mahatmas and the lunar, solar and stellar plane. So another thing is that there is a science or whatever called spiritualism, and that is opposed to spirituality. If one thinks of subtler sphere, always one cannot think of going beyond that. So this is the clear criteria. If you believe in bhakti, you are all right. If you believe in God relation, you are all right. But if you give your mind continuously to occult things, that is a definite obstruction. A man should practice sadhana. Now, sadhana means anything done out of love for God is called sadhana by Thakur. To practically do something because of love of God, with the desire to realize God. A man should practice sadhana and pray to God with a longing heart for love of his lotus feet. So another thing which Thakur is prescribing is prayer. Prayer with him, I want love for you, I want to realize you, this prayer. Not that I want money or this or that, or take me out of my troubles and all that. He should direct his mind to God alone withdrawing it from the various objects of the world. This is sadhana is defining. Direct your mind to God alone, withdrawing it from the things of the world. Both cannot go together. Various objects of the world. We are not reading the song again. Continuing, the master said, you may speak of the scriptures, of philosophy, of Vedanta, but you will not find God in any one of them. In philosophy, you do not get God. You will never succeed in realizing God unless your soul becomes restless for Him. So, that love itself becomes restlessness, vyakulata. That is the only way to God. Otherwise, philosophy, what it does, it gives an intellectual pleasure. And our way to God becomes blocked. This is the point which Thakur is stressing again and again. He is not against philosophy, but philosophy blocks up our mind by supplying intellectual pleasure. We have understood what God is. What is that? And we can never correctly understand also. So, philosophy is not what we want. We want experience. Experience is obtained through loving God. That is the way to change our consciousness of the world and ourselves and get the consciousness of God. Now, this is a tremendous departure from what we have been hearing from the so-called traditional Vedantis up till now. They think intellectual appreciation of the reality is what the Vedanta is teaching. Only because Shankaracharya has used reason as his weapon against the wrong arguments of the people opposite to Vedanta. That does not mean Shankar feels that Vedanta will automatically be realized if the wrong conceptions are removed. But that has killed the spirit of love. He may himself talk that moksha sadhana samagram bhakti rivagariyasi, and yet his followers do not accept that at all. Their mind is gone into the intellectual ratiocination which they appear to read in Shankar Bhashya, and that is what has happened. Once I was asked in Nagpur, long back, they had given me a topic, Swami Vivekananda, the modern Bhashyakar of Upanishads. I said, change the topic a little, modify. Swami Vivekananda, the commentator of modern Upanishads. And that modern Upanishads means Sri Ramakrishna. Upanishads are not modern. But to see that Upanishads in life and then to explain it. So Upanishads contain life. Upanishads contain experience. Upanishad contains realizations. And to treat them, how? See, Sri Ramakrishna, he is Upanishads incarnate, Upanishads embodied, and try to explain him. That is what Swamiji has done. So, Sri Ramakrishna is talking again and again that philosophy is a delusion which makes you feel that I intellectually understood Vedanta. That does not help you at all. Some people think I have found that first intellectual appreciation, then we shall experience. For experience, intellectual appreciation may be helpful if the tendency to realize is already there, and it is not necessary for all. Our great Swami Adbhutananda did not require philosophy. Pure, simple mind can realize Vedanta if he gets a proper teacher like Sri Ramakrishna. So unless your soul becomes restless for him, One must be very earnest about God. Listen to another song. One must practice intense spiritual discipline. What is intense spiritual discipline? I told just now that loving God and putting that love of God to practical life is called intense spiritual discipline. Can one obtain the vision of God all of a sudden without any preparation? So God is within us. The mind has to be prepared for that, and the God will appear. So without that preparation of the mind, how can you expect God? A man asked me, why don't I see God? I said to him, as the idea came to my mind, you want to catch a big fish. First make arrangements for it. God is a very big fish. And arrangement means withdrawing the mind from other thoughts. And for that, he is giving the example of a fish catcher. Throw spiced bait into the water, get a line and a rod. At the smell of the bait, the fish will come from deep water. By the movement of the water, you will know that a big fish has come. Big fish is God here. And invite him by loving him. Seeing your love, he will approach and you pull him to yourself. That is the simile. Because in Bengal, this angling is very common. Water everywhere, so you will find people sitting and doing like that. So this example will help them to understand the process of God realization. You want to eat butter, but what will you achieve by simply repeating that there is butter in milk? Another example it takes, if you say Brahman, 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 Brahman will not appear. Butter is surely in the milk. Butter is surely in every part of the milk. But for that, you have to turn the milk into curd in quietude. You have to churn that curd also in solitude. Then the butter comes. And so solitude is the necessary factor. When people are not there, you will simply love God in all earnest. And so, as a part of loving God, Thakur is prescribing solitude, churning. You have to work hard for it. Only thus can you separate butter from milk. Can one see God by merely God exists? One needs sadhana. Up till now, up till this we had read, now we are coming. The Divine Mother herself practiced austere sadhana to set an example for mankind. Now Thakur is giving now the divine example. The Devi practiced very hard sadhanas. What were the sadhanas? Eagerness to for realizing Shiva. Om. Technical fault is happening. I am trying my best. The Divine Mother herself practiced austere sadhana to set an example for mankind. that the requirement of sadhana. Thakur himself practiced very, very hard sadhanas. We do not find such things in other incarnations, but they have practiced. The difference is that Thakur is continuously talking about his sadhana because he wants to impress upon humanity that sadhana is absolutely necessary. So he is giving example that the Divine Mother herself practiced sadhana. It may not be for her, but for the example of others, if she has done that, without that, then we also must do. The great Holy Mother got everything through Sri Ramakrishna, but she practiced Panchatapa. Why she practiced Panchatapa, she was asked. She said, it is for you. So, the great people do set an example, and that is why we see great. We should see that part of their life. Thakur is here referring to the Divine Mother as Parvati. She was the daughter of the king, and yet she stayed alone outside the palace and reduced her food to the extent that she existed only on the leaves of a tree, and that also she stopped. And that is why I said her name became Aparna. And then Shiva was pleased. Shiva is ever pleased. But he is pleased that she has set an example for the world. That is what Thakur is pointing out. Sri Krishna, who is none other than the ultimate Brahman, also practiced sadhana to set an example to others. Many people do not describe that. Does not mean he did not practice. So it is described in some places. Radha Yantra and others say too can do. Great sadhana he did. My dear Yagnamurti, it is not the fault of the Advaita Ashrama. They have very good supply. But here I am in Belur Math. And these days, the season has become very bad. And I have two sources in my cell phone, Jio modem and Airtel. And Jio modem I have reserved for these classes. But sometimes the Jio field in my room becomes very less. And especially last few days, it is because of this stop. Advaita Ashrama has nothing to do about it. They have very strong field, they have given me their connection. But to get connected with them, I checked with them. They said our system is running perfectly. But please bear with me. So long as this season persists and here in my room, otherwise I'll have to take my computer and go somewhere else where the field is proper. This is a remote place anyway. So now I continue. Sri Krishna, who is none other than ultimate Brahman, also practiced sadhana to set an example to others. So, though other books may not show, Thakur is showing this. Sri Krishna is the most popular God. And so, Thakur is showing that he was Parabrahman, but he also practiced sadhana. Why? To set example to you. And that is what Thakur did in this age. Sri Krishna, now is talking of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is the Purusha and Radha the Prakriti, Chit Shakti, the Adya Shakti. Radha is the Prakriti, the embodiment of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are in her. As you remove the layers of an onion, you will first see tints of both black and red, then only red, and last of all only white. So, this is what is sadhana, to remove the layers, to remove the layers of I consciousness, gross, subtle, and all that. So, black, red, white. The Vaishnava scriptures speak of Kamarada, Premarada, and Nityarada. In the Vaishnava descriptions, there is a lady called Chandravali, and she feels lust for Sri Krishna's body. But for God, if you have any approach, it is going to succeed if it is God. Because God can absorb all our good and bad things. We have seen that if we love Him in whatever way we want. And Radha is very, very pure. She has only love for Krishna. So that is Prema Radha. And yet there is a third called Nitya Radha. And that is what is pointing out. Chandramali is Kamarada and Shrimati is Prema Radha. Shrimati is name of Radha. Nanda saw Nitya Radha holding Gopala in her arms. So Thakur is finding from different Vaishnava scriptures things which are useful for us. There is a Nitya Radha. That means always somebody loving Krishna in an identical way. And he saw Nanda, Krishna's foster father, saw Nitya Radha holding Krishna in her arms. So that is like Yashoda. That is like every relation with Krishna. The Brahman of Vedanta and the Chit Shakti are identical. So you are giving philosophy of sadhana. Like water and its wetness. The moment you think of water, you must also think of wetness. And the moment you think of water's wetness, you must also think of water. Or it is like the snake and its wriggling motion. The moment you think of the snake, you must also think of its wriggling motion. And the moment you think of the snake's wriggling motion, you must also think of the snake. So in this way, showing the Shiva and Shakti, Brahman and Shakti identical. When do I call the ultimate reality by the name of Brahman? When it is actionless or unattached to action. When I see Brahman as unattached to action, I call it Brahman. When a man puts on a cloth, he remains the same man. When he was naked, he was naked. Now he is it clothed. He may be naked again. There is, so, example, man is man. He does not change, though he changes his dress. So sometimes nirgun, sometimes sagun. There is poison in the snake, but it does not harm the snake. It is poison to him who is bitten by the snake. Brahman itself is unattached. So, snake in the poison is the best example. He bites everybody with that tooth and the person dies. But that tooth is within his mouth, but he never is affected by that. Ishvara is called Mayadhish, Jeev is called Mayadhin. It is Ishvara's power, and if we stick to Ishvara only, we will get relieved from that, not otherwise. Mameva ye prapadante maya mitam tarantite. And this Ishvara is beyond Maya. And one becomes identified with that Ishvara later on. One small remark I am doing for Yagamurti. I am using Geo specifically for the class only. And Airtel for all my activities throughout the day. But sometimes the Jio is so weak. Just now what I did, I changed to Airtel and it started working. So sometimes it is like that. Names and forms are nothing but the manifestations of the power of Prakriti. So world means names and forms. And God appears as names and forms. That capacity to appear itself is called the Shakti. The Shakti to appear. He does not take anything. He naturally appears through name and form. But that capacity is called Shakti. It does not make Brahman in change his Nirgun form. Because the names are nothing, forms are nothing, and through names and forms he appears as the world, becomes Sagut. Sita said to Hanuman, my child, in one form I am Sita, in another form I am Rama. Sita herself is telling, Thakur has wonderful examples from so many Puranas that he can tell us in so many ways the identity. So from the mouth of Sita he is telling that in one form I am Sita, in one form I am Rama. In one form I am Indra, in another I am Indrani. In one form I am Brahma, in another Brahmani, female Brahma. In one form I am Rudra, in another Rudrani. Whatever names and forms you see are nothing but the manifestations of the power of Chit Shakti, the Shakti of consciousness. Everything is the power of Chit Shakti, even meditation and he who meditates, so all forms, beautiful explanation. Meditation, the process is form of Chit Shakti. The meditator is a form of Chit Shakti. If this we can assimilate, that itself is the greatest sadhana. As long as I feel that I am meditating, I am within the jurisdiction of Prakriti. This Thakur is telling, huh? It's not Sita telling Rama. As long as I feel that I am meditating, I am within the jurisdiction of Prakriti. Because this I itself is nothing but a name and form born of Prakriti. This is very important. Try to assimilate what I have said to M. One should hear what the Vedas and Puranas say and carry it out in life. Carry it out in life, try to change the bodha, the consciousness. To the Pandit, it is good to live in the company of holy men now and then. So many aspects of that sadhana is prescribing. Because the sadhus have experience, so if you live in their company, the disease of worldliness has become chronic in man. It has mitigated to a great extent in holy company. Great extent means something remains that Thakur will attract you or you will do further sadhana. I and mine, that is ignorance. That is all. In short, what are the asuras, what are the obstructions, what is the devil? I and mine. That is ignorance, wrong knowledge, because there is no I, there is no mine. True knowledge makes one feel, oh God, you alone do everything. So translate it to the field of action. I am not the doer, God is the doer. You alone are my own, and to you alone belong houses, buildings, family, relatives, friends, the whole world. So mine, I and mine. Nothing is mine, all is yours, God's. In this light, if one lives in the world, one remains unattached. And yet he lives in the world. Now he is giving some stories. Once a teacher was explaining all this to a disciple. He said, God alone and no one else is your own. The disciple said, but revered sir, my mother and my wife and my other relatives take very good care of me. They see nothing but darkness when I was not present, I am not present. How much they love me? The teacher said, there you are mistaken. I shall show you presently that nobody is your own. Take these few pills with you. When you go home, swallow them and lie down in bed. People will think you are dead, but you will remain conscious of the outside world and will see and hear everything. Then I shall visit your home. The disciple followed the instruction. Listen carefully, huh? He swallowed the pills and lay as if unconscious in his bed. His mother, wife, and other relatives began to cry. Just then the teacher came in the garb of a physician and asked the cause of their grief. When they had told him everything, he said to them, here is a medicine for him. It will bring him back to life. But I must tell you one thing. The medicine must first be taken by one of his relatives and then given to him. But the relative who takes it first will die. I see his mother, his wife, and others here. Certainly, one of you will volunteer to take the medicine. That is his definition of love. Then the young man will come back to life. The disciple heard all this. First, the physician called him his mother, who was weeping and rolling on the ground in grief. He said to her mother, you don't need to weep anymore. Take this medicine and your son will come to life, but you will die. The mother took the medicine in her hand and began to think. After much reflection, she said to the physician with tears in her eyes, my child, I have a few more children. I have to think about them also. I am wondering what will happen. I am thinking about them too. I am wondering what will happen to them if I die. Practical, huh? So-called practicality. Who will feed them and look after them? The physician next called the wife and handed the medicine to her. She had been weeping bitterly too. With the medicine in her hand, she also began to reflect. She had heard that she would die from the effect of the medicine. At last, with tears in her eyes, she tears her impossibility. She said, he has met his fate. If I die, what will happen to my young children? Who will keep them alive? How can I take the medicine? In the meantime, the disciple had got over the effect of the pills. He was now convinced that nobody was really his own. He jumped out of bed and left the place with his teacher. The Guru said to him, there is only one whom you may call your own, and that is God. Because God never leaves us, and God is doing everything for us. If you see it through the incarnation, if you read books about Sri Ramakrishna, so many incidents, how much he did for others, infinite, without their thinking, without their hoping. Therefore, a man should act in such a way that he may have bhakti for the lotus feet of God and love God as his very own. You see, the world are, so their reasoning appear to be very rational. Other sons, other this. So, who is your own? Their mind is divided. And they want to save themselves also. But God does not save himself. He sacrifices himself for everybody. You see this world around you, it exists for you only for a couple of days. There is nothing to it. Pandit smiling. Revered sir, I feel a spirit of total renunciation when I am here. I feel like going away, giving up the world. So Thakur's sayings have impacted the Pandit so much. Master, no. Why should you give up? Give up mentally. Live unattached in the world. Surendra wanted to spend the night here occasionally. Thakur is giving a beautiful example. He brought a bed and even spent a day or two here. Then his wife said to him, you may go anywhere you like during the daytime, but at night you must not leave home. What could poor Surendra do? Now he has no way of spending the night away from home. His wife wants that. He has to do that. What will you achieve by mere reasoning? Again, he has come to that. Mere reasoning. Be restless for God and learn to love Him. Whether you're an householder or whatever, be restless for God and learn to love Him. Reason, mere intellectual knowledge is like a man who can go only as far as the outer court of the house. But bhakti is like a woman who goes into the inner court. The old style houses had outer house and inner house. The ladies are in inner house and only ladies are allowed. So the jnana appears to be masculine, while bhakti, the word appears to be feminine. See, using this word power, he is telling that bhakti can go inside. One must take up a definite attitude toward God. Attitude means relationship with God. Bhava. Then alone one realizes Him. So, love has a form, and that form will generate love. Rishis like Sanaka cherish the attitude of Shanta, tranquil, peaceful. Hanuman, the attitude of a servant. The cowherd boys of Vrindavan, like Sudama and Sri Rama and Sudama, the attitude of a friend. Yashoda, the attitude of a mother, and Radha, the attitude of a sweetheart. So the five famous Vaishnava Bhavas he has told. Examples. O God, thou art the Lord, I am thy servant. That is the servant's attitude, a very good one for aspirant. For men it is beautiful, I am the Das, because that I will function. Pandit, yes sir. So he has agreed. The Pandit from C3 left. So that talk is over. Twilight hung over the Panchavati, the temples and the river. Evening worship began in the different temples, accompanied by the sound of bells, gongs and conch shells. Sri Ramakrishna bowed before the picture of the deities in his room. He was sitting on the small couch in an abstracted mood. A few devotees were on the floor. There was silence in the room. An hour passed. Ishan and Kishori entered. So the heading of the chapter is advice to Ishan. And sat down on the floor after saluting Sri Ramakrishna. Ishan was a great ritualist. He was devoted to the performance of various rites and ceremonies prescribed by the scriptures. The master opened the conversation. Master, can one attain knowledge of God by merely repeating the word God? There are two indications of such knowledge, that realization of God. First, longing, that is to say, love for God. You may indulge in reasoning or discussion, but if you feel no longing or love, it is all futile. Second, the awakening of the Kundalini, the awakening of the spiritual desire. As long as the Kundalini remains asleep, you have not attained knowledge of God. You may be spending hours poring over books or discussing philosophy, but you have no inner restlessness for God, you have no knowledge of Him. When the Kundalini is awakened, one attains bhava, bhakti, prema, and so on. This is the path of devotion. Now we find Kundalini is talked of only in the yoga or tantra systems, and devotees do not talk about it. But Thakur has harmonized here, made both of them synchronize with each other. That is the speciality of this talk. This is the path of devotion. The path of karma is very difficult. Karma means not the karma yoga which Ramakrishna Mission is doing or expecting people to do. The Vedic karma kanda. Through it, one obtains some powers, I mean occult powers, by Vedic karmas. Ishan, let me go and see Hadra. Because either he has been pinched or he wants to talk to Hadra. Sri Ramakrishna sat in silence. After a while, Ishan returned to the room accompanied by Hadra. The master was still silent. A few minutes later, Hadra whispered to Ishan, "Let's leave him alone. Perhaps he will meditate now." Both left the room. Sri Ramakrishna was still silent. In a few moments, the devotees noticed that he was really meditating. Then he performed japa. He placed his right hand on his head, then on his forehead, then on his throat, then on his heart, and last of all on his navel. Was it meditation on the primordial energy in the 6 centers of the body? Sri Ramakrishna was still silent. In a few moments, the devotees noticed that he was Ishan and Hadra had gone to the Kali temple. Sri Ramakrishna was absorbed in meditation. Meanwhile, other had arrived. It was about 7:30. A little later, the master went to the Kali temple. He looked at the image, took some sacred flowers from the feet of the mother and placed them on his head. He prostrated himself before the mother and went round the image. All the things out of love and devotion. He waved the chamara. He appeared. Chamara is the soft fan, you may say. It is actually the tail of a cow called chamara, a special cow. He appeared ecstatic with divine fervor. Coming out, he found Ishan performing the Sandhya with the Kosha Kushi. Those Kosha is where the Water is kept, kushi is the spoon-like structure. These are Bengali names. Master to Ishant, what? You are still here? Are you still performing the Sandhya? Listen to a song. Why should I go to Ganga or Gaya or to Kali, to Kashi, Kanchi or Prabhas? We have discussed these tirthas. So long as I can breathe my last with Kali's name upon my lips. What need of rituals has a man? What need of devotions anymore? If he repeats the mother's name at the 3 holy hours. Rituals may pursue him close, but never can they overtake him. Charity, vows, and giving of gifts do not appeal to Madan's mind. This is Madan poet's name. The blissful mother's lotus feet are his whole prayer and sacrifice. So, loving the mother, how long must a man continue the Sandhya? As long as he has not developed love for the lotus feet of God, as long as he does not shed tears and his hair does not stand on end when he repeats God's name. So that is happens when one finds joy. I bow my head, says Prasad, before desire and liberation. Ram Prasad. I bow my head before desire and liberation, knowing the secret that Kali is one with the highest Brahman. I have discarded once for all both dharma and adharma. I has been discarded. When the fruit grows, the flower drops off. When one has developed love of God and has beheld Him, then one gives up the Sandhya and other rites. When the fruit grows, the flower drops off. When the young daughter-in-law, this is Thakur's supreme example. When the young daughter-in-law is with the child, the mother-in-law reduces her activities. When she has been pregnant for some months, she is not allowed to perform any household duty. After the birth of the child, she only carries the child on her arm and nurses it. She has no other duty. After the attainment of God, the Sandhya and the other rites are given up. You cannot achieve anything by moving at such a slow pace. You need stern renunciation. Can you achieve anything by counting 15 months in a year? I made this mistake. You cannot achieve anything by moving at such a slow pace. You need stern renunciation. Can you achieve anything by counting 15 months in a year? That means slow pace. You seem to have no strength, no grit. He is scolding Ishan lovingly. You are as mushy as flattened rice soaked in milk. Be up and doing. Gird your loins. I don't like that song. Brother, joyfully cling to God, the striving. Someday you might attain Him. Thakur himself also sang this song. But in that the spirit is slow. I don't care for the line, the striving. Someday you may attain Him. You need stern renunciation. I say the same thing to Hazra. You ask me why you don't feel stern renunciation? There is a reason for it. You have desires and tendencies within you. So that is the obstruction. Desires and tendencies within you. The same is true of Hazra. In our part of the country, I have seen peasants bringing water into their paddy fields. The fields have low ridges on all sides to prevent the water from leaking out. But these are made of mud and often have holes here and there. The peasants work themselves to death to bring the water, which, however, leaks out through the holes. Desires are like the holes. You practice japa and austerity, no doubt, but they all leak out through the holes of your desire. So, stopping the desires is also an important thing. They catch fish with a bamboo trap. The bamboo is naturally straight, but why it is bent in the trap? In order to catch the fish. Desires are the fish. Therefore, the mind is bent down toward the world. If there are no desires, the mind naturally looks up towards God. Another example. Do you know what it is like? It is like the needles of a balance. On account of the weight of the woman and gold, the two needles are not in line. There is a needle on the top and there is a needle in the bottom. Now, if one pail is heavy, this needle becomes like that. So, woman and the gold are pulling this needle. If there are no desires, the mind naturally looks up towards God. If there are no desires. Do you know what it is like? It is like the needles of a balancer. On account of the weight of woman and gold, the two needles are not in line. It is woman and gold that makes a man away from the path of yoga. Haven't you noticed the flame of a candle? The slightest wind makes it wavy. The state of yoga is like the candle flame in a windless place. That much mind should remain steady. Mind should not flicker. Mind flickers because of attraction for objects of the world. No attraction for the objects of the world, man will be absolutely unflickering. The mind is dispersed. Part of it has gone to Dhaka, part to Delhi, and another part to Kuch Bihar. That mind is to be gathered in. It must be concentrated on one object. So concentration helps the mind to gather itself. If you want 16 annas worth of cloth, then you have to pay the merchant the full 16 annas. Yoga is not possible if there is slightest obstacle. If there is a tiny break in the telegraph wire, then the news cannot be transmitted. Thakur has known that, and I will give that example also. So many examples he has given. You are no doubt in the world. What if you are? You must surrender the fruit of your action to God. You must not seek any result for yourself. But mark one thing, the desire for bhakti cannot be called a desire. Name is desire, but it is anti-desire. It does not disperse your mind. It unifies your mind. You may desire bhakti and pray for it. Practice the tamas of bhakti and force your demand upon the Divine Mother. So that is important lesson by Thakur. This bitterly contested suit between the mother and her son. What sport it is, says Ramprasad. I shall not cease tormenting thee till thou thyself shalt yield the fight and take me to thine arms at last. Trailokya once remarked, as I was born into the family, I have a share in the estate. So feel that closeness to God, nearness to God. God is your own mother. Is she a stepmother? Is it an artificial relationship? If you cannot force your demand on her, then on whom can you force it? Oh, Thakur is showing how closely you have to relate to God. Say to her, Mother, am I thine 8 months child? Thy red eyes cannot frighten me. A deed of gift I hold in my heart, attested by thy husband Shiva. I shall shew thee. Deed of gift Shiva has given me, your feet. And if you don't accept, I'll shew you thee, if I must, and with a single point shall will. God is your own mother. Enforce your demand. If you are part of a thing, you feel its attraction. Because of the element of the Divine Mother in me, I feel attracted to her. A true Shaiva has some of the characteristics of Shiva. He has in him some of the elements of Shiva. Who is a true Vaishnava is endowed with some of the elements of Narayana. Nowadays, you don't have to attend to worldly duties. His sons had taken care of everything. Spend a few days thinking of God. You have seen that there is nothing into the world. The master sang, remember this, O mind, nobody is your own. When you are wandering in this world, trapped in this subtle snare of Maya as you are, do not forget the mother's name. Only a day or two, men honor you on earth as Lord and Master. All too soon that form, so honored now, must needs be cast away. The body dies. When death, the Master seizes you. Even your beloved wife, for whom, while yet you live, you fret yourself almost to death, will not go with you then. She too will say farewell and shun your corpse as an evil thing. So facts of the world are being related. Continuing, the master said, what are these things you busy yourself with? They are arbitrary Shambhu, huh? No, Ishan, Ishan. Ishan was a very good mediator. The arbitration and leadership, I hear that you settle people's quarrels and that they make you the arbiter. So it may be very good quality. In the world it has served you up till now. Now give it up. You have been doing this kind of work a long time. Let those who care for such things do them. Now devote your mind more and more to the lotus feet of God. So that is the advice to Ishan. Huh? The saying goes, Ravana died in Lanka and Behula wept bitterly for him. Behula, unconnected with Ravana, time and place, but when Ravana died, she wept. So what you have to do with the people? Why not relate yourself to God only? Shambhu too said, I shall build hospitals and dispensaries. He was a devotee of God. If he had not been a devotee, it is different. So I said to him, will you ask God for hospitals and dispensaries when you see him? Keshav Sen asked me, why do I not see God? I said, you do not see God because you busy yourself with such things and name and fame and scholarship. The mother does not come to the child as long as it sucks his toy, a red toy. Red toy is world object enjoyment. But when after a few minutes it throws the toy away and cries, then the mother takes down the rice pot from the earth and comes running to the child. You are engaged in arbitration. The Divine Mother says to herself, my child over there is now busy arbitrating and is very happy. Let him be. In the meantime, Ishan had been holding Sri Ramakrishna's feet. He said humbly, It is not my will that I should do these things. So that has become a habit and people praise it. Master, I know it. This is the Divine Mother's play, her Leela. It is the will of the great enchantress that many should remain entangled to the world. Do you know what it is like? How many are the boats of mind that float on the ocean of this world? How many are those that sink? Again, out of 100,000 kites, at best one or two break free, and thou dost laugh and clap thy hands, O mother, watching them. Only one or two in 100,000 get liberation. That rest are entangled through the will of the Divine Mother. Haven't you seen the game of hide and seek? Now it continues. We shall see it day after tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.